What's up everyone, my name is Morgan Lee and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing an original writing tag that I am calling the Give Yourself Grace writing tag. This is one that I came up with. I don't know if there are any other types of tags like this one. I did not check, but I did come up with all of the questions and it just felt fitting for what I wanted to do today, which was to kind of explain why I haven't posted any videos in February and just what's going on. So it felt appropriate and it felt like it needed a tag. So I created this tag. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into the video. There are 10 questions in this tag. There were going to be 9 questions, but I can't have an odd number. So there are now 10 questions in this tag. I will leave all of the questions down in the description. If you would like to do this tag, you can find the questions down there. I think I've stalled for long enough, so we'll go ahead and get into the first question. Question number 1 is, what things are overwhelming you? And this can be from personal life or writing life, a mix of both, just whatever you feel comfortable sharing in your video if you do this tag. I'm going to share both because I like to be pretty open and pretty transparent about the things that I'm going through, so you're going to get both from me. As far as my creative writing YouTube life goes, the things that have been stressing me out the most is the fact that I have not recorded or uploaded any videos since the end of January. I had all of February planned out. I was planning on all of my videos being something to do with Black History Month and amplifying Black voices, whether that be dissecting a classic piece of fiction or reviewing Black authors. And it was just gonna be videos that highlighted Black authors or Black voices in some way. And those videos took a lot more research and behind the scenes work than my other videos because I wanted to do a really good job and like really nice production quality on those videos. And all of that on top of, I was trying to finish Seed Among the Rocks, and then I'm also working with 2 CPs or critique partners with their books as well. And then I have 1 editing client that I'm working on right now, and then 2 others that I have scheduled to start working with them, hopefully, after the sample edits and everything. There's been a lot in the forms of writing in YouTube that occupied the space in my mind. So videos kind of have gone by the wayside, which I'm not happy about. And which is why I'm doing this video today, because I needed to get something up for February and the other videos just aren't ready. I do plan to release those at some point because you don't really need just a month to celebrate Black voices. We should be doing that all year long. So I do plan on releasing those videos at some point, but they are not finished. So in that front, that's been the main thing that's been overwhelming my mind. My characters have been a little bit difficult to work with and get this story like where it needs to be. So that's what's going on in the writing realm. That's where I am pretty much overwhelmed. On the personal side, I mean, there's not really that much going on the personal side. It's just a lot more physical symptoms. I mean, you can watch my videos. I'll link the cards up there that talk about like my chronic illnesses and disabilities and stuff like that. You can check out that video if you want more information about what is wrong with me. Yeah, so just some physical symptoms I've been having. And when you add in the mental stress of like trying to finish the revision and then do the YouTube videos and research and then the editing jobs and then the critique group or the critique partner stuff, my brain's holding on to a lot of stuff. And then not to mention like the collaborations that I'm a part of that I signed up for. It's all getting a little bit overwhelming. Like, I love it, but at the same time, it's been a little much lately. I think that's all I'm gonna say on that first answer. Okay, so question number 2 is to evaluate the expectations. So I did just want to note that for 5 of these questions, I got my like starter things, like the evaluate the expectations, like the little piece at the beginning. I got that from a website. I think it's called Iridescent Woman. Yes, Iridescent Woman. I'll link that down below if you want to read more about giving yourself grace. I'll link that down in the description box. But anyway, from the things that you listed in question number 1, what are some things you can remove from your plate as of right now to postpone or put to the side? For this, my mind immediately wants to go to I can't put anything to the side because it's all like really important, because for one of them I'm getting paid and the second one it's a equal exchange with my CPs, so I can't put that off. I can't put off doing the revision. So in my mind it's starting to reel. Everything's important and I can't really prioritize anything. You know, you kind of have to reflect and take a step back and realize that subconsciously I kind of already decided what was the thing that needed to be taken out for the moment. And for me, that was YouTube. I didn't have the space for that. The fact that I didn't upload for these 3 weeks is fine because the other stuff was getting done. Even if you have to say no to some of the things that you committed to. For instance, on Sunday, I was supposed to be a part of the Scripting the Book live stream where we talked about Bridgerton. I was just in a headspace where I could not do it. And I had to back out. I had to say no. Even though, yes, I already committed to doing this, but in that moment, I had to make a choice of what is best for myself in that moment. And if the other things happen to not happen, I'm giving myself permission for that to just be okay. Question number 3, establishing healthy boundaries. Saying no is extremely difficult sometimes, especially when you want to be involved in everything. You want to collab with people, you want to build relationships, you want to do so much and see your channel grow. But saying no sometimes is very essential. So the question is, what are your no-goes when it comes to your writing or collaborating with other creators? And to explain that further, what are your boundaries that either you have put in place or you need to put in place when it comes to your writing or working with other creators? And if you still don't know what that means, I'll give you an example by answering the question. I'm trying to make sense of my own questions. What does that have to do with that? Showing yourself grace. I think that ties into showing yourself grace because sometimes I feel like there's pressure to kind of do what everyone else is doing, a little bit of peer pressure. Say there's an anthology that everyone's getting together to do and it's like a fantasy anthology and you really hate fantasy or you don't do fantasy and you might feel like a little bit like left out or feel like you need to write it in order to be included. Does that make sense? And just realizing you don't have to, and to acknowledge that within yourself if something you don't ever want to write, and that is totally fine. And on the other side, when it comes to working with other creators, what are some healthy boundaries that you can put into place? A boundary that I feel like I need to put in place when I work with other creators is one that I haven't told anybody or like enforced, is working on Sundays. Church is on Sunday. And even though I don't physically go to my church building anymore, I still very much watch our services online on Sundays at 10 and 6. But for the last couple of months where I have been working with other creators, I've kind of been letting myself schedule things during those times. And that is no one's fault but my own. And so the boundary that I need to put into place is those times are sacred for me and that I can't schedule anything during those times anymore because my spirituality is important to me. It's something that I've been neglecting. Again, to no fault but my own, but that is a type of healthy boundary that I need to put into place when I do future collaborations with people. On to question number 4, embrace the change. Okay, so I could not decide between 3 possible questions for this question. So I am going to mention all 3 of them and probably give short answers to all 3 of them, but this is all one question. So if you do this tag, you can just pick one or you can do all of them. Totally up to you. How has your writing changed since you've began Authortube is the first question under this one. Second option is how has your channel changed since you started Authortube? The third option is what changes do you want to bring to your channel or your writing going forward? Honestly, I just feel like my storytelling ability has definitely increased, and I attribute that mainly to finally allowing someone other than myself to read my stuff. I've been writing since I was 6. I never let anyone read anything. My teacher was lucky if she got to read something. So since starting Authortube, I feel like my storytelling ability has grown because I've allowed the critique of other people to finally penetrate my thick skull and allow me to grow my craft instead of leaning on to the thing that I'm comfortable with. So it's definitely pulled me out of my comfort zone and opened up the door for my writing to actually improve. For the second option, I don't think I read this correctly. How have you or your channel changed since starting Authortube? Yeah, I feel like my channel is pretty much the same since I started. I think I was trying to do what everyone else was doing in the beginning and do like more tips and advice and stuff, but I feel like I've just kind of grown into myself a little bit since starting, and I'm more relaxed and comfortable with being in front of the camera and editing and the whole 9. And as far as like how I have changed since starting Authortube, I feel like I'm a much more self-aware person. I speak up a lot more than I used to. I think I said this in another video, I think in my neurodivergent video, you get to be whoever you want on the internet, and you can even be yourself. So I feel like talking to the camera and having my channel has elevated me into fully coming into myself and being okay with being exactly who I am and acting however I normally want to act. Yeah, I just feel like I have just grown as a person. That's my answer to the second option for this question. The third option for this question is what changes do you want to bring to your channel or your writing? For my channel, the main goal that I have is to bring in more readers. I have not mastered or figured out how exactly to do that, but I want my channel to shift from being talking to writers to talking to readers. A kind of like nice mix of both of those things. And then for my writing, the changes I want to see in my writing is for me to get better at description and to be able to talk about heavier subjects, because that is what I want to do in my fiction, is to talk about the heavy subjects and to shed light on them in a fictitious way. Question number 5. This is going to be a long video or a lot of editing. Question number 5. Mistakes as opportunities. What mistakes have you made in writing, publishing, or on your channel that you have learned from and that hopefully we all can learn from? The biggest mistake that I've made in my channel is going hard for a little bit and then giving up. Like this 3-week stint. Again, I'm not trying to get down on myself. I'm trying to just use this as an example. In the past, I feel like my 3-week stint of not posting any videos would have kind of derailed me completely, where I would not be sitting down and recording this video right now. And that has been the thing that has hindered and held me back for so long with my channel, is the kind of discouragement from not being as consistent. And I think that also stems from not giving myself any grace in the past and saying that you're just not good enough, forget it, throw in the towel, it's done, that's a wrap, cut. Like, not giving myself that grace and not like having the motivation and the gall to actually continue. For my writing and publishing, the mistake that I have made is putting up something that was not quality, that was not ready to go out, just because I wanted to do what everybody else was doing. I wanted the feelings, I wanted the success, but without doing the work. So I did that, 3 times before it clicked and said, hey, maybe you should actually invest in yourself and, cultivate some skills instead of just, publishing a first draft. Like, don't do that. So that is my advice there for your channel. Consistency is important, but it's also important, the topic of this video is to give yourself grace and do what you are able to do and not get discouraged when things don't go your way. And then for writing and publishing, don't publish a first draft. Just because you can put it on Amazon and slap a book cover on it does not mean it's ready to go. Okay? Okay. That was the biggest mistakes that I have made so far. Question number 6, self-compassion. What are 3 to 5 small wins that you have achieved in the last week, month, or just today? I'm gonna go with today. The wins that I have made today is that I got dressed, I showered, and I'm sitting down recording this video. Those can be 3 wins, 3 individual wins in itself. Yeah, those are some wins that I can celebrate because the little things are worth celebrating. Question number 7, what are your favorite books or your favorite author to read when you need some kind of comfort? So for me, it is the Harry Potter series. I used to reread them every single year. The Outsiders is another one. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It got me into writing and made me fall in love with storytelling. Kind of a self-plug because this is a collaboration, but scripting the book on the 6th, unless it changed because I was not at the last meeting. Unless it changed, and then if it changed, I'll put the real thing in somewhere on the screen or in the bottom. But we are analyzing The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I'm so excited about. That will be on Nia, the Vixen of Fictions channel. I'll leave her linked down below as well. Question number 8, being instead of doing. What is your favorite thing to do when you're not writing or creating content? I like to paint and learn how to draw. I like to research things. So I like to learn things when I'm not writing or creating content. Question number 9 is to read us a piece of your unedited fiction, because done is better than perfect and something is better than nothing. I put this in here to kind of like get us out of the headspace of things having to be perfect. So I'm just gonna read you something short from my current work in progress, Seed Among the Rocks. This is Shaw's chapter. I'm not going to give context, I'm just going to read. I breathe deeply, turning back to the sea for a moment. Yeah. Following Eliora toward the ramp of the ship, we meet Warren, Sadia, and Celestia. Both girls look absolutely worn. Dark round circles camped under their eyes and clothes torn, dirty, and tattered from the long voyage. We walk back to the palace in silence. Much of it looks the same as when we left, but an eerie emptiness hangs on the atmosphere through the streets. Cornelius and his behemoth had been here when we left, so there is no telling what we have just walked into. I crane my neck upward, scanning the sky for Fae. Usually, so many could be seen flying overhead at most times. Some were Eliora's guards who kept watch over the entire continent. Something had to be wrong. I look to Eliora. Her shoulders are tense as she floats above the ground, leading the way to her palace. When we get into the city limits, my blood runs cold and I freeze. I grab the girls by the shoulder to stop them. Bodies littered the streets, pouring out of homes and windows. Scorch marks paint the walls along the broken glass and debris. Sadia shifts under my grip. I release them, not realizing I had been squeezing so hard. I try to meet Eliora's gaze, but hers is distant, her dark blue eyes glassy, and hands clenched to her chest. She floats over to one of the bodies by the side of the road. A young Fae female's head pokes out from underneath several pieces of broken wood. Eliora bends down and tosses the wood to the side. She gasps, and I put my hand to my mouth, trying to hold back the urge to either feed or vomit. The young Fae's wings are completely ripped from her body, her back a mangled mess of swollen flesh and coagulated blood. Eliora holds back sobs. My parents. Her voice comes out no louder than a whisper, and she takes off as fast as her wings can carry her. All right, just a short little section, unedited. I haven't even read that back yet until just now. And I wanted to include that in this tag because too often we get caught up with making things perfect. At least I know I do. And yes, eventually you will have to make your fiction perfect so that it's publishable and the best that it can be. But I just wanted to highlight that we don't need to get caught up in that in the moment, especially like if you're writing a first draft, or if this is your first time writing or your first book, or whatever the situation may be. It's not going to always be pretty. It's not always going to be the best thing you've ever written, and that's entirely okay. And then finally, question number 10, name one thing you love about yourself and one thing you love about your writing, whether it be your current work or just your writing in general. So one thing that I love about myself is my strength, because life, as somebody who is chronically ill and autistic, life can be a battle kind of constantly. And there's been things that I've been through in my life that I would not wish on somebody else. And there are things you just have to get through as a chronically ill person. There is medical trauma, there is gaslighting from health professionals, family, friends. There are so many obstacles that, for lack of a better descriptor, that you have to become numb to almost, that you have to overcome. And I just want to congratulate myself, I guess, or just acknowledge that part of myself, that even in the times where I feel the weakest that I could ever possibly feel, I do still have strength and I still am strong, and I've been through so much already. And the obstacles that come in the future, I can remind myself that I've already been through so much. I'm gonna make it through this too. And then for my writing, I would say the thing that I love most about my writing is how natural it feels. And that is probably more so the writing process and how writing feels for me. But for me, writing has always been my method of communication. It has been the way that I can express exactly what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, where words, like verbal words, have always been very difficult for me. And I don't mean that to say like I'm naturally talented, like I'm the best. I mean that it flows naturally for me, and it always has. I love that it is a core piece of my identity, and it's one of those things like you can't separate the two things. So that is what I love about myself and about my writing. So there you have it. That is my Give Yourself Grace writing tag. If you enjoyed this video and you want to do the tag, you are tagged. And that's all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and we'll see you on Friday with another video. Bye!